The UFC launched on Paramount Plus this past weekend with UFC 324. Justin Gaethje got an interim title win over Paddy Pimblett. Sean O'Malley is back in the win column after a decision win over Song Yadong, and they pulled a record number of viewers. Now, on the surface, this was a very, very good start to the UFC on Paramount Plus, but we've had quite a few things come up recently that do not make Dana White look the absolute best. So while it was a massive week for the UFC, we do have a massive spotlight again on Dana White's passion towards the sport and promotion of the UFC, and fighter pay back in the spotlight. So we're going to get into that in this video. The UFC Paramount launch, Dana White getting some bad press, and fighter pay once again being a massive topic of conversation. So stick around to hear the full story and my thoughts. My name is Wyatt. Welcome to Fight Society. Before we get into the video, guys, do me a huge favor, like and subscribe down below. And if you're watching on your phone, swipe left on the comment section and hit that hype button for me as well. But without further ado, let's get into the video because we have a lot to talk about in reaction to UFC 324. I've already done my recap and reaction to the fights. I've already done a little bit of rewatch and rescoring of the O'Malley fight, and I did fights to make after UFC 324 on the channel just yesterday. And now we got to talk about the big headlines, fighter pay, what's next for the UFC on Paramount Plus, because it was a big first event for the UFC on Paramount. Of course, Justin Gaethje defeats the star that they wanted to make on Saturday night in Paddy Pimblett. Paddy was just not ready for this level of competition. I think that he's going to have to rebuild, take a big break because he took a lot of damage. I'm talking he fights again probably October, November, December against probably the winner of BSD and Dan Hooker, but I already talked about that yesterday. Now, Gaethje, interim champion. O'Malley back in the win column. At first, I did say that Sean O'Malley robbed Song Yadong in this fight, but upon rewatching it, I was wrong. In the moment, my live reaction was wrong. My recap of the fight was wrong. I rewatched it. I rescored it. Sean O'Malley won rounds 1 and 3 very easily. Now, the UFC peaked at 5.9 million viewers on Paramount Plus. 5.9 million was the peak viewership during the main event on Saturday night, and the average live audience for the entire card, 4.6 million. So 5.9 peak, 4.6 average. That is some crazy numbers, especially when you consider that that's about what NFL games are getting and things like that. And not even most NFL games. There's a lot of NFL games doing a lot less than this. So this is a massive number for the UFC, massive for the sport. This is such a big deal. As much as we have some shit to talk about Dana White later in the video and his lack of passion towards the sport and promotion, we do have to take a moment and smell the roses here. Paramount Plus is very good for the sport. Paddy Pimblett is a star. Sean O'Malley is a star as well. And this shows just how much of a speed bump and a roadblock the $80 price tag for UFC pay-per-views was, because there's no way that they were selling 6 million pay-per-views. They've never done that. I mean, the biggest fight ever for the UFC was Conor and Khabib, UFC 229. It sold 2.5 million, 2.4 million, something like that. Here, 5.9 million viewers, and that's a count. So how many people are at home watching the fights with 2, 3, 4, 5 friends? You probably had 10 to 15 million people watching the main event of UFC 324 live. Massive for the sport. I'm so pumped for the growth that this sport is going to have on Paramount. Now, numbers wise, the Paramount era got off to a really great start, but there was some blemishes on the success that was UFC 324. One, Justin Gaethje had staff. They covered it with a Band-Aid. Not the biggest deal in the world. Plenty of guys have fought with staff before. It's really not that deep. I know it's very dangerous, but when it comes to putting on a big fight, especially a pay-per-view main event, the fight will go on if someone has a skin infection. We've learned that from Kevin Lee, Benoit Saint-Denis, Merab, Islam Makhachev. So many guys have had staff and they have followed through with main event appearances. Even Benoit Saint-Denis against Poirier, I think it was. That wasn't even the main event and they still followed through on that fight. But Davison Figueiredo, former flyweight champion, has since moved up to bantamweight, missed weight by like 2.5, 3 pounds. Didn't even try. How do you make 125 a bunch of times and you come in for bantamweight at 139, 138.5, something like that? Despicable. He's here for a paycheck. Not a good look. Alex Perez also not a good look, especially because he won. That's the thing. He missed weight and won. He knocked out Charles Johnson. And then, of course, Alexander Hernandez and Michael Johnson canceled due to irregular betting line activity. We just had a betting scandal issue like back in, I think, August or September it was, with Isaac Dulgarian. And then, of course, Cameron Smotherman right here passes out after making weight at UFC 324. His fight was pulled. He said he was fine, that he doesn't know what happened, but he made weight, and many people are getting at Dana White and the fighter pay as a part of this because fighters are not making much money, guys. It says he did all this for $10K to show, $10K to win. Dana White is a criminal. We've talked about this quite a bit. I think Dana White has got plenty of shady shit going on, gambling debts, not paying fighters, all that stuff. And especially when you get into like the text messages that were sent back and forth between Mick Maynard and Marcelo Brigadero, you really start to realize just how anti-fighter the UFC, and it actually seems like everybody is anti-fighter, including the UFC. So while they parade around like we take care of fighters, fighters get paid the most under us, which is true. Objectively, that is true. I'm not going to hate on the UFC for being the highest paying promotion on average, but they could do a lot more and they choose not to. Business-wise, I actually understand it. But for the future of the sport, you got to make a little bit of an investment. Turn those profit margins from 500% to 450 and give the fighters a little bit more money. It really would not hurt the UFC's pockets at all to make the base contract 25 and 25. That's if you fight 3 times in a year, even if you lose all 3 of them, 75K, you can at least in most parts of the country and most parts of the world put together some sort of living on 75K a year. Of course, we had the betting scandal involved as well. Now, this one we don't have a ton of information on, and I don't think we will get a ton of information on it because Isaac Dulgarian got arrested or questioned by the FBI, whatever it was, and suspended by Nevada State Athletic Commission. We haven't heard anything from Isaac Dulgarian or about his case in about 2 months. Derek Minner and James Krause, that was 2-3 years ago. That's still under investigation. So we don't really know what's going to happen between these 2 guys. Are they going to be suspended until it's resolved? Was it just one of the 2 guys, not both of them? Usually it's one. So we're going to have to sit around and see, do these guys get rebooked? Because they both made weight and this got pulled like 3 hours before the card. Paramount officials were like, nah, dude, any little bit of suspicion, pull that shit. We're not dealing with a betting scandal on the first card or ever. A big topic of conversation over the course of this week was fighter pay because Justin Gaethje brought up fighter pay this week on a UFC microphone, which is pretty crazy. He talks about how he's got 14 bonuses and it hasn't equaled to $1 million yet. And he calls in UFC fighter pay into question because he's one of the higher paid fighters. I'd say he's in the top 15 or 10 or 15 highest paid fighters in the promotion in terms of per fight purse. And he's talking about fighter pay. So that shows you how much of a problem it is. This is what he had to say during fight week.
Oh, man, to have 14 bonuses and not equal up to $1 million, it's not right. It's not right. It should be a lot more than that. And I should have had opportunities to do smarter things with my money, but I don't, and I haven't. And to this day, everyone's, I hear Daniel Cormier saying that everybody's going to get paid more on this card. I'm not getting $1 more than I would have if this deal did not happen. I'm happy to have achieved what I have achieved. The best thing I did is probably invest in a commercial property. I purchased a house in Arizona that's like a mile away from my parents. My sister is renting that from me now. But really just being able to help my family. That's the smartest thing I did because you can never get that time back with your family. And so, it's huge for me.
This is Gaethje right here at a gas station.
Hey, where's the Ferrari?
I got this.
Now, I will tell both sides of the story because I have seen some comments talking about how Justin Gaethje has been seen driving a Lamborghini Urus at gas stations and things like that. And people are like, what do you mean? You should have done smarter things with your money. You're driving a fucking $250,000 car. Okay, here's what happened. I looked into it because I was like, damn, he's talking about fighter pay and he's driving a Urus. Like, there's no way he's going to talk about having done smarter things with his money when he's driving something like that. Now, after looking into it, what happened is Justin Gaethje won this Ferrari 296 GTB at Fanatics Fest event about 6 months ago, right here. And he traded that in. That's why that one fan is going, where's the Ferrari? He traded it in for the Urus. So it's not like Gaethje, because, the things like this will skew the argument about fighter pay in favor of the UFC and be like, what do you mean? What do you mean they don't make enough money? They're driving Ferraris and Lambos. This was something he won in a contest and traded. Justin Gaethje in that first clip was talking about bonus structure, how he's had 14 bonuses and they haven't added up to $1 million. That's because he had 13 bonuses at 50K, which add up to, I think, like 650,000, if my math is correct. And then at UFC 300, they got fight of the night, him and Max Holloway, where Gaethje got knocked out. And for UFC 300, the bonuses were 300K. So those 14 bonuses got him 950K. If there wasn't the UFC 300 bonus, it would be 14 bonuses equaling 700,000. Now, Dana talked about the bonus structure right here.
What has been happening forever in this company since you know, we started this company is every night I would tell you guys, oh, these guys won these bonuses, but everybody on the card would get a check for different dollar amounts depending on how they fought, ranging anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 every event. So those are going away, and now, you know, finishes will get a $25,000 bonus.
And what that is in reference to is what has been called a discretionary bonus, where people at UFC cards get cut a check that is not a part of their fight pay or their bonus or their Venom sponsorship money, anything like that. They would have money and checks that were handed out at the end of the event, after the event, even people would get money mailed to them or a check mailed to them, all that type of stuff. But they would be given small amounts of money, smaller than their purse. It's not like they were a guy that was on 12 and 12. They win, they get 24K, and the UFC's like, here's another 50. That would be if they won fight of the night and stuff like that. In this case, these discretionary bonuses, Dana White talks about them being $5,000 to $25,000 for the most part. And a few fighters have actually spoken up about that because there has been a little bit of debate. Because here we have UFC lightweight Matt the Steamroller Frivola right here, posted it on his Twitter, December 16th, 2025. So 2 months after he competed against Kyle Nelson at Vancouver. Quick break. If you're loving this video and you want more from Fight Society, click that join button down below to become a channel member today, where you'll get access to members only live streams, behind the scenes vlogs, and all the unfiltered stuff that we don't post to the main channel. Back to the video. Dear Matt, thank you for being part of an amazing night of fights at ESPN 201 in Vancouver, Canada on October 8th, 2025. As a way to say thanks, we are sending you a bonus payment of $3,000 less any required taxes or other withholdings. And a lot of people are talking about this, saying that he's ungrateful and all this stuff. And all he did was say thanks, Dana. Now, I'm sure he was doing a little bit more tongue in cheek for the sake of like, oh, you were saying 5 to 25K. I got 3K. And right here, same thing. Carlos Mota. Dear Carlos, thank you for being a part of an amazing night of fights at ESPN 115 in Vegas on October 29th, 2022. As a way to say thanks, we are sending you a bonus payment of $3,000. Now, this brings that whole fighter pay conversation about bonuses and all this stuff. Well, one, Dana's lying about the amount, always embellishing, trying to make things sound better than they really are. And listen, Gaethje, one of those guys talking about bonuses. He's pissed, all right? He's pissed. This is him right here pressing out DC during fight week, talking about why are you lying about fighter pay?
Saying everybody's getting paid more and you're lying. Why would you say that?
Wait.
Why would you talk out of your ass when you have no idea what's happening?
I actually know.
Oh, you know that I'm getting paid more than I would have if this deal.
I never said everybody. I never said everybody.
You said every single
I said the fighters will. I said
paid more. The fighters.
no. I said the fighters.
Are you kidding me? You're going to do this?
You're going to throw us under the bus, make
I
us
did
look
not
stupid.
throw you
You're
under the
getting
bus.
paid more. Why would you say that?
Listen.
You might be getting paid more, and I hope you are.
Wait, how would you know? I don't get paid nothing. I do this for free. I do this to help you. I love you, so I do this.
See, and that's how you lie to the people, just like that.
Yes.
See, Justin is pissed, and I get it, because he's getting to the end of his UFC run. He says he's probably done this year because he wants to have kids, all that stuff. He's out here, he's looking around, 10 fights of the night, 14 bonuses, all these different things, world title fights. He's held the interim belt twice. He's held the BMF belt. He's headlined big pay-per-views. He just opened the Paramount card, and he's looking around saying, damn, I don't have a whole lot to show for all of my sacrifice, hours in the gym, injuries, brain damage, all that stuff, taking on big upcoming stars that don't deserve title shots like Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. And now he's going to have to go out and get slept by Ilia Topuria at the White House because he's sloppy and Ilia's going to kill him. But Gaethje's pissed, and DC is just being a fucking lying shill for the UFC. Let's be real. The longer that I'm around this sport, the more I start to realize that DC is propped up as this good guy. But more and more people off camera, behind the scenes, say that one, DC super unprofessional, and two, that DC kind of a dick that people don't like. And I've liked him so far. I mean, I'm definitely team DC over team John Jones. But when you sit around and you're sitting here lying, talking about how great the UFC is, it's like, bro, they pay you. You're on the UFC pay roster. You're going to talk good about the people that are paying you 50, 60K per event to commentate. So Dana White responded to all of this, saying that Gaethje ghosted them when he was offered more money. And there's no way. Let's be real. There's no way this is true.
We completely have it dialed in. We got like really smart kids that came in and talk, they can get down within, single digits on how close it would be to pay them like it was a pay-per-view. And Gaethje, without getting into all that stuff, Gaethje was offered more money, and Gaethje never responded.
So he says that Gaethje never responded. And I think Dana's pissed at Justin Gaethje. One, because he's not as big of a star. He's not as new as Paddy Pimblett. And frankly, he speaks up about the issues that Dana White doesn't want spoken up about. Even right here. This is Dana White's reaction to putting the interim belt around Justin Gaethje right here. And you see right here, Dana pissed. Absolutely pissed. Paddy got the shit beat out of him. Paddy's applauding Justin Gaethje. And there you go. He puts the belt on him way too high, almost on his chest, doesn't care. And then he walks away, doesn't give a shit. Now, some of you guys might say, yeah, Dana's just locked in doing his job, but Dana looks pissed. We talked about the same thing with Bilal. When you have a future cash cow, like you have a McGregor or a John Jones or somebody like that wins the belt, Dana is happy as can be, smiling ear to ear. He's like, aha, slapping the belt around the guy's waist. With Gaethje, with Bilal Muhammad, with Leon Edwards, not happy whatsoever. He's sitting there. He's like, fuck, what? We got to put the belt around this kid. What? I wanted Ilya Taporia and Paddy Pimblett. What? This is what we get. This is the low effort, the low commitment to the sport that Dana White gives us. And he sits around talking about, I care very much about the UFC and Zuffa boxing and Power Slap and Thrill One. Dana, we don't give a shit about that other stuff, bro. We know you for the UFC. The UFC is the thing that we care about. Either step all the way away and let Hunter Campbell run the UFC, or commit to the job. That's how I feel about it. It reads like this. I care very much about my wife and my side chick and my mistress and my other side chick and my sugar baby. This is what Dana White's statement about the UFC reads, because realistically, you can't care about all these things. These are massive. I mean, Power Slap's not. Zuffa's a startup, but still, you can't care about this many things at once. You're spread too thin. Andy's on the board at Meta. All this in with the Saudis. He's got political shit to do with Trump. Dana, you have brought a lot of eyes to the sport. You've done a lot of good for the sport, but commit all the way and stick around, or pass it on to Hunter Campbell. Let's be real. And of course, Justin Gaethje, another example, guys. We talk about how managers are actively negotiating against their clients to the UFC, trying to get them to take less money, all this different shit. Here you got Ali, Justin Gaethje's manager, basically saying that everything got resolved.
$1 more on Paramount. The next day, Dana White goes on Pat McAfee, said, we made him an offer for more money and he didn't respond. What was that about?
Listen, I have rules. Mm-hmm. I don't talk about financial business. Dana was right. It was an offer we made. It was made. But, sometime, for a little bit more money, Dana was not lying. But in reality, Justin, maybe he was not okay with the offer, but everything worked out correctly. Justin is good. Now we'll get to talk. And, but in a way, I always saying for athlete or everybody have feelings. We all men, we have all testosterone. Mm-hmm. And Justin is emotional, and he speak, Justin is not lying. I think nobody in the UFC deserves to make more money than Justin Gaethje. I don't give a shit. Nobody.
I mean, Jesus Christ, man. How much fucking jumping through hoops do you have to do, Ali? He's like, okay, so just so you know, Justin's not lying and Dana's not lying. Let me not burn this bridge with Dana. The first thing he says, Dana's not lying. But then everything's good. So what happened? What happened with this money? Obviously, Ali says that an offer was made and then that Gaethje didn't respond because maybe it's your client. What do you mean maybe he didn't like the offer? You're the one that's supposed to go over the offer with him. But then now everything gets worked out. It doesn't make any sense to me how some of this pay stuff works in the UFC. And they want it that way on purpose. That's what's led to lawsuits, is people don't know how or why or when or how much they're supposed to get paid. Justin Gaethje, as annoying as he is and as much as he bitches and moans at time, I like Justin Gaethje, but he does bitch and moan and cry anytime he has a microphone in his hand. But in this situation, I fully support him. Why Ali represents him, I don't understand. Ali clearly is terrible at his job. He's fence sitting. He wants to pleasure Dana and you know, get his clients more money so he can take more of a bigger cut. Ugh, it's just disgusting shit. Fuck this guy, Ali Abdelaziz. Literally the most shady, dishonest person in this sport. And we're talking about Dana White in this video, and I'm saying that about somebody else. So I'm confused about how this all came to be. And Gaethje apparently didn't respond to an offer, but now everything's good. It doesn't make much sense at all. So we start to look through all of this massive start for Paramount. Of course, record viewership on the app, record viewership for the UFC. It's all good stuff. We have to talk about fighter pay because Dana White got the first bit of bad press that he's gotten in quite some time. And he's betting $100,000, $500,000 hands with Steiny from the Nelk Boys, while Justin Gaethje gets gifted a Lamborghini, essentially, and has to worry about his manager trying to fuck him over. Sean Strickland showing support in the comments right here saying no lies spoken. Dana White said the Paramount deal is a work in progress. I think it absolutely is. There was a lot of talk about no walkouts, no corner work, tons of ads. There's a lot of money coming in. It needs to get to the fighters in some way. It'll help grow the sport quite a bit. So let me know your thoughts down below. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Do you want more from Fight Society? Like and subscribe below this video and click the join button to become a channel member today to get access to behind the scenes vlogs and members only live streams.